Hi, this is Ari Kopel and Serena, your show hosts of Shattering the Matrix. Today we're going to be talking about spiritual miasms, what that is, and all that good stuff that needs to be addressed in reference to that. And Serena will be addressing that today. So, Serena, can you express what a spiritual miasm is, or even define the word miasm for some people?
Right. Okay. Can you hear me well enough?
I can hear you. I can hear you great.
I'm talking kind of low.
No, that's fine.
I have to bend over to get closer to the mic, and I don't feel like bending over 2 hours. So
that doesn't sound too good.
No. Okay. What they are, for some reason, it occurred to me that they were important to talk about, and I've always looked at miasms from the physical point of view, from the ailments and mental obstructions that people experience through miasms. And what miasms are basically, it's different from what you will find in Wikipedia definitions and those common definitions. Miasms are more of a spiritual element right now, and they are ailments or sicknesses or obstructions or genetic problems, mental situations, traumas from past ancestors that have not been healed. All of these things are lodged in the cells of the children who are born of these people, and they will experience all of these things of their parents and their ancestors. And these are miasms.
Okay.
These are ailments that have been carried to you through your parents and their ancestors. And they are all things that have not been healed. And so one can consider this a curse, right?
Right.
Basically, they are, if you don't have the spiritual maturity to understand that you have to transcend them and heal them yourself. But our generation is a generation now that is having to deal with all of the miasms of every previous generation of our personal genetic line, of our personal families, and all the things that have not been healed. And a lot of the sickness that is happening with people today is happening because they're experiencing miasms. And the way that you can find this in a very concrete way in our matrix society, in our very mundane and mediocre-minded society, would be with the medical profession that will tell you, well, if your mother and father had this genetic problem, then obviously you're going to have this problem.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So when they tell you that, they're talking about miasms. You're inheriting miasms from your parents.
Okay.
So they expect you to get it completely because your parents had it and it's simply passed on. But what genetics are, in actuality, is a program. And programs can be overwritten.
Okay. Right.
Programs can be changed. And genes can be transcended. You don't have to be stuck with them.
Right.
So miasms are ailments, but the way that the medical industry will express that is by telling you, well, it's genetic. Okay, that's their expression of miasms. But miasms come in diseases, physical ailments, as in diabetes, asthma, and all diseases like that, right?
Sure.
That they say are inherited from parents. But we're also dealing with traumas that are being expressed through the children, and they don't know that this is happening for them as well. And they think, for example, an expression of that would be, oh, I'm becoming my father. Oh, I'm becoming my mother. So I'm having the same problems my mother had, or the same problems my father had, right? And you think that this is fate or something like that, but it's not. You've inherited the energetic miasm that is still an energy that has not been healed, and it has been passed down to you, and your cells are broadcasting this frequency, and so this situation is happening again, and it's happening again because it needs to be healed. It needs to be transcended. It's a program that needs to be rewritten.
Yep.
Okay, and this is our job, and a lot of people are not recognizing that. They're seeing their ailments and their diseases, and they're going to the doctor. And oh man, my father had diabetes, and so I've inherited it, and now I have to live with it, and all of these things. And the answer to all of them is no. You don't have to.
Right.
You can literally transcend it if you understand what's happening. And I'm experiencing this myself in my own body. But I always knew that everything I'm experiencing is not because of something that I did in my life. Because first of all, I eat completely different than my parents did. From the time I was 21, I've been eating organic.
Yeah.
Mostly raw, like 80% raw.
Okay.
And so this is over 30 years now. So it's certainly not from the diet, but still I have these problems, and when they happen with me, I recognize they're not mine. This is something my mom had, or this is something my father had, and I've inherited it. So what I do is I don't take it seriously. I say, okay, this is just their stuff, and I just need to be detached from it and treat myself well, and then I can transcend it. And I've been doing that for over 30 years. But to finish the definition of miasms, that's basically what it is. The medical industry will call them genetics. And the spiritual community is calling them lately more miasms, because miasms can be inherited from thousands of years back.
Sure, yeah.
And not just your parents and grandparents, but that far back.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. That's
what miasms are, and we're experiencing in our day and age spiritual miasms, which I can talk about.
Let's do that. What is a spiritual miasm?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked.
I know. I'm glad I asked too.
Okay, well, it occurred to me as I was speaking with you that miasms was floating around in my mind as something that I wanted to talk about to someone. I had no idea who, but I wanted to talk about it. But then it occurred to me that we are experiencing spiritual miasms, and how that is manifesting is through spiritual beliefs, right? And for example, I inherited spiritual beliefs from my parents.
Yep.
From my mom, mostly, because my father, he had no spirituality whatsoever. In fact, he's an atheist.
Huh.
And my mom, she wanted to believe. She really did. She put us through Catholic school and all of those things that they do there. And but she would go to church. We would go to church, and they were always asking for money, and she didn't understand that, and she didn't understand why they had such opulent buildings, and they always had money. And she saw the Vatican, and she questioned these things, and why do they have so much money? And they're collecting from poor people.
Yeah.
From every week from poor people, and if you don't put something in that basket, they give you a look. They look at you, and she was very uncomfortable with that, so she sensed, a hypocrisy. And because of the hypocrisy that was, prevalent, she said, I'm going to give you the choice of remaining in the church or not, but it's going to be your choice from now on. I was like, thank God I don't have to go into that diabolical dark place. Oh my God, thank you. So I decided not to, and then I was going to find God, wherever God was, but it wasn't there in the church.
Yeah.
Built there. So she had some spiritual beliefs that she passed on, but she was always searching. She's very open-minded. But what happens with a lot of people is they teach you how to be whatever they are. So you'll have a devout, Christian, or a devout Muslim, or a devout Buddhist, and they will have children, and they will teach their children what they know spiritually. Sure. And then that child grows up believing these things because this is what they were taught. They know. They know because their parents taught them, so they know, right?
Sure.
And so they have these beliefs, and it goes on and on and on. And yet, when the world demonstrates to you another reality that tells you this belief system is not true, they will hang on to that belief system because they don't want to let it go. It's a belief is like it's like your comfort blanket. It's very powerful. You don't want to let your comfort space go. Right.
Right.
A lot of people need to have a belief system so that they know where they fit in the world, or they know that there is a place with other people that they fit in. And so it's very difficult for them to let that go. The concept of letting go would not even occur to them.
Right.
They know because their parents knew that's the way it is, it's always going to be, and period. That's the end of it. That's serious dogma. So when reality starts showing these people that it's not that way, and they begin to experience cognitive dissonance, which is a battle in the mind between two completely different realities. They don't know what to do, and they don't want to let it go. And this is because they have such a hard and fast belief in whatever it is that they're holding on to. And these are their spiritual miasms that they have inherited literally from their parents and their ancestors, and from that whole collective consciousness of whatever that religion is. And so those are spiritual miasms that people are finding a very hard time letting go of, despite the fact that the entire world is proving everything, to the contrary, or the fact that there are other realities in addition to what they believe. And so these are major spiritual miasms that people don't want to let go of, especially those who have strong belief systems, as in the New Age movement people, or light workers, or religions. They're really stuck on these beliefs. They can't let them go because the mind would boggle if they had to drop everything they believed and have to reinvestigate everything on their own from scratch. That's like traumatic for them.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So does this is this like a handicap for the spiritual community, do you feel?
It is a handicap. Of course it's a handicap, because they're believing something in which a reality is showing them something different. And so of course it's a handicap. They're not able to drop what they're stuck on to embrace the reality, or to embrace another reality that is literally true. So yes, it's a handicap, and they don't want to let go of that blanket. Right. They don't want to let go of this little niche that they fit into, because then they feel, I think, I'm not sure what the fear is, because I don't have it, but I think the fear is that they won't know where to place themselves psychologically. They need like a home, and the home is the belief system or the religion. And if they don't have that, they feel spiritually homeless.
Yeah. Well, it's a way to, get rid of any possible fear that the unknown brings. So you hold on to whatever it is that that's been giving you comfort, and at least giving you a sense of, it's like you said, a sense of fitting in, belonging, explanations of stuff that just don't make sense, and stuff like that. But it oh my God, it's just such a hindrance. If people don't come in with the perspective of really coming in as a blank slate and letting go, and my background. A lot of people may not know my background, but I've had to do a lot of dropping this and dropping that, and you know what? Let's just drop it all. It's like, okay, it's like I'll drop this baggage, and then I'll drop that baggage, and it's still heavy, it's still heavy, and I'm being presented with new information, and I don't want to drop the baggage, and it's like, okay, let me do this. I'm being presented with new information. Let me just drop all the bags, okay? And now let me just be, open and receptive to new information, and see how that resonates with what? With my being, with my knowing, with my direct connection with Source, because that's
there's the great difference between yourself, and people who can't do that.
Well, no, and of course, but my background is like you. Lynn, which we're going to be having on the show, she's very eclectic in a lot of different religions and things, that she's experienced a lot. But my background is Jewish faith, the Jewish tradition, and then I went into Christianity. I'm a reborn Christian. I've spoken in tongues. I still speak in tongues if I have to. Went into metaphysics. I've done the the mystery schools and the whole. I mean, I've done the whole gamut. I've done the Ascended Masters, the Green Books, which is the I Am Presence teachings.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and I've done all of it, and my background is really it goes all the way back to my great-great-grandfather, who was the father of Hasidic Judaism. His name is the Baal Shem Tov. A lot of people may know him, and if not, you can look him up. So that's my genetics, and for me to let go of this, okay, which is in my genetic structure, okay,
programming.
It's programmed in my actual physical genetic structure, not only in my spiritual, right? So I've had to put aside everything, okay, just like, okay, we're going to put aside everything because I am observing the world that I live in, and it's giving me contradictory information, okay, and I have to be able to address that, because I would be not in service if I am going to hold on to old belief systems, if I'm not true in my core to being in direct communication to source directly, as opposed to holding on to what other people have taught me to believe in, right? So I won't be in service. I will not be in service, because I'm watching the world then skewed. I'm watching it with filters, So I've got to remove the filters. Therefore, I've got to remove everything. And so I'm saying the people today, those that are of the light worker community, the spiritual community, we need to be able to be courageous enough to drop stuff, to let go of belief systems that we've acquired, also addressing the traditional ones. And that's just, what I'm observing, because otherwise we really are not effective. We cannot be effective if we are constantly measuring the life, our lives, and the world that we live in, which is constantly giving us information like, oh, things are not right, things are wrong, they're not in divine order, they're not working, but we're seeing it with the filters as if it is working, based on predetermined belief systems acquired by what you said, by ancestry, by just acquiring new sets of beliefs because the other ones didn't work to answer most of the things that we were experiencing and giving us that comfort zone. We've gravitated to things that give us that comfort, that feel-good feeling, and it's very hard to let go when we're facing contradictory information that things are not that feely good, So,
Yeah, what the Archons have been they're extremely clever, and their intelligence cannot be measured compared to ours, okay? Our intelligence just can't touch theirs. It's not going to, they are so clever and so cunning.
Yep.
And they have mapped out their entire agenda that spans a very long-winded period of time over not just generations, but over thousands of years, their agenda, okay? And so the first thing that they knew that they had to do was control our mind. They had to control our mind. And as Carlos Castaneda says in the book, Don Juan told him about what he calls the flyers or the Archons. And I don't know if the flyers are the Archons. I don't care. The difference doesn't mean much, okay? I'm not splitting hairs that way. But the force that is there exists. And he says what they have done is given us their mind. Their mind. And so they knew, if you're going to control anybody, well, what is mind control all about? MK Ultra and all of these military guys that are exercising mind control devices through every kind of means whatsoever. Some of it happens through drugs, but most of it happens through beliefs and information that has been given to the human being, right? Well, the Archons have done this thousands of years ago, and how they did it was they gave us religions. Right?
Yeah.
And all of these religions are designed to be in control over the masses. So every person in every religion is subservient to whoever is the leader of that religion. And of course there has to be some seemingly goodness there, because otherwise the people won't be attracted to it. Mm-hmm. So there has to be something good that sounds good there.
Yep.
And so that's what brings them. It's the sugar, it's the honey that the bees will fly to, right?
Sure.
But then you get there and you get stung because there is a poison, and most people don't feel it. But religions were a very clever way of giving us, of making us controlled by their devices, and that was just the beginning of the control, and it's just gone downhill from there. And it's been such a comfort to have something to believe in that people for eons cannot let go of these things. They just can't let go of these beliefs.
Oh yeah. And many of us, again, hold on to beliefs because, it's that fear of death, regardless of whether people say, oh yeah, there's nothing to fear, really, but death, and then what is there to fear? Because we're basically going home, right? So there's really nothing to fear. So that whole piece that we feel when we have to face death comes from our belief system that when we cross over, that we are going to go to a much better place and all that stuff, and that I still hold on to that as well. But I'm wondering, based on the fact that we are living in a matrix, and we know who's controlling this matrix, I'm wondering how much of it is really true. And I don't remember where I read this. I don't remember if it was in His Image by John Lash, or where I read it, if it was Rosemary Ellen Guiley's book. I read it somewhere recently that when a person dies and that person crosses, they see the tunnel and they see the light at the end of the tunnel, not to go to the light. Did you read that anywhere? Because I read it recently. I'm trying to figure out where it was. Not to go to the light because those are those entities pretending that they're the angelic beings, and they just want to capture you to recycle you again, to go anywhere but there. You can go up, down, left, right, but anywhere but to the light, because those are the tricksters trying to capture you again, to recycle you again. Have you read that before? Because
I've heard several people say that, and it includes John Lam Lash.
That's where I read it. Yep, that's where I read it.
Ellen
Guiley said that.
Eve Lorgan.
Okay.
Robert Stanley, George Cavasilas, Nigel Kramer. There's a whole bunch of people.
Yep.
Who will tell you that same thing. Lisa Renee.
Uh-huh.
I can't come up with all the names that I can remember.
You've come up with enough names to make somebody say, "Oh, wait a minute." I mean, I'm hoping somebody's saying that. Wait a minute, there's something here.
Yeah. Myself included, I figured this out on my own. Mm-hmm. I have to say, because I looked. I mean, through my own, really on my own. I realized I never trusted that experience. People would talk about these afterlife experiences, and I'm like, how come? Why is this happening? Why are they always, without question, sent back? Why is this happening? And they're never told what the mission is that they have to complete. They didn't finish their mission. They have to come back, and they never know why. And even when they come back, they're still in a miserable situation, but they have this faith and this belief. And that it's supposed to be the way it is. Mm-hmm. And this will take them through their life. And faith is a very powerful thing. If you have faith in something, you can virtually make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And this doesn't necessarily mean that it's true what you have faith in. Mm-hmm. But you can make it happen. It's just something that the power of the mind has. Mm-hmm. But I could never. Anyway, I figured that one out on my own. And when I heard, Lisa Renee talk about it herself, I was floored. Because I said, this is one thing I'm never going to talk about to anybody, because they're going to really grab me, put me away, and finally, once and for all, But no, it's all over the place now. People. Yeah. A lot of people are breaking out, like you said at the beginning. A lot of people are breaking out of the dogmas. Mm-hmm. The light is definitely coming and shedding its light on the darkness and dissipating it. And a lot of people are claiming the truth, and the truth is more bizarre than fiction.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, way off the charts, more crazy than fiction.
Yeah, and the light with the capital L is coming in, shedding light on the false light, which is the ones that are pretending to be the light, and including, these angelic beings, that are really not. Pretending that they're, waiting for you as you cross.
We have to talk about that, because a lot of people don't understand how that can be. I was one of those people who didn't understand that there was such a thing as a false light. I mean, come on, light is light, right? No, I think we need to talk about that. Can you explain a little bit how that works?
Well, I mean, we remember we've been hijacked, and these beings that we are calling Archons, and those that are animating the Archons, that fabricated the Archons and engineered the Archons, and those that are above them. I mean, they're very clever, like you said, and they're gonna, remember, they're trying to trick us with what feels good. We know what feels good. It feels good in our heart, feels good in our solar plexus. It's sugary and whatever, and they'll create based on the food that we're going to gravitate to, just like a little fish is going to gravitate to that little worm. They're going to feed us that energy, feel good stuff. So it comes in via, maybe a fake angel. You'll have an apparition of an angel or a being that looks angelic, that is going to come in and speak all these beautiful words and whatnot, and make and do what? Touch us in our heart, because that's what feels good, right? Because we're especially the light workers, right? We're so much into light and love and all that good stuff. I was going to say kumbaya, and I held back.
Oh, I'm glad you held back.
I held back. Yeah. I didn't say kumbaya, but that feel good of being one and all that.
But how does the light look like light and make people so convinced that they saw the light, and yet it's not the light? How does that happen?
Well, it's because first of all, I mean, it's light, but it's not the divine, the pure light that doesn't have to be, that is not corrupted. The pure source, the light from source, doesn't have anything. In other words, it doesn't have any fluff to it. There's no decoration, no embellishment. There's no, and remember, they'll come in and it's a light being, and then they'll come in and say or communicate to you telepathically all these wonderful things and make you feel good, but in reality it's decorations. It's like the decorations and ornaments in a Christmas tree to make it look pretty and glittery, when in fact, the light, the true light, stands on its own. It doesn't need any of that. And the true light sometimes is corrective. Sometimes there's different shades of the all-encompassing type of love, which a lot of people think that just love is all fluff and it's all feel good, and it's that space that you sit in when you're in meditation, that you're in perfect peace and harmony and everything. But it's all encompassing, the true love. And so they'll come in and give you what your perception of love is and your perception of the light is, and that's all they're capable of. That's it. And it's an imitation. It's they're taking, what they feel. It's a copy and paste, but they're not capturing the total essence of the true light. I don't know if I'm explaining it right. Holy cow. Am I explained? Did you get it or no? I mean, I'm trying to...
Well, I get it because I understand what you're saying, and we've had this conversation 1,000 times.
Sure. I mean...
But for people who can't imagine, let's say an angel apparition.
Uh-huh.
And this thing is glowing and glowing and glowing, and they have to put their hands over their eyes because they're looking at this glowing light.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing this light. Well, how is that a dark person if it's glowing with light like that?
Well, because there are levels of vibration. There's vibration. There's different intensities of vibration and whatnot. So that you have the light that I can take a flashlight and shine light in your face, and you'll go, oh wow, that's a light. That's the light of God. And it's the vibration of that flashlight is not the same as if you were in front of the Creator or a source, Prime Creator itself. And I don't give it a gender because...
And the other thing that they do is oh my God, I felt so much love.
Right.
And, I want to address that because I always wondered how that happened too, because I didn't believe a lot of these beings were beings of light that had come to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is that they have an ability to imitate light.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability to shine a light, to make themselves glow, and they can do this through technologies.
Oh yeah.
through technology. It doesn't have to be that this person is glowing from the inner light of love and light. I mean, this is very simplistic, and yeah, we would like to believe that, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
Okay, they know how to imitate light. They can glow because these are beings that are huge and ancient. Right? Doesn't mean that they're wiser. It just means that they're more cunning and older, and they have learned far more tricks, and they know how to imitate things, and so they can glow with that light. But they also know how to stroke your nervous system to make you feel love, so that when you are observing these beings and your nervous system has been stroked without your consent.
Correct, right.
You're feeling all of this love, but the love is your own.
Yeah.
It's your own love that you're feeling. So in they come with this, Hollywood
production, yeah.
With this Hollywood production of light as a light being, and light coming out of their eyes and their skin and their hands glowing with light, and now you're feeling all of this love, which they have stroked your nervous system to feel, and you think you're feeling love from this light being because one showed up, and then you're feeling love, so they must be going together, and so this was a being of love, and you're enchanted, and you're bedazzled, and you're just, oh my God, and then they will say something to keep you just a little bit on the wrong path. They want your attention. They're going to say something nice.
They're going to give you the truisms. Yeah.
So, but that's how they can do it. There are several ways. That's just one.
That's just one, and it's no different from a brain surgeon going in and performing. You know how they sometimes they'll open the cranium and they'll start putting some electrodes on the brain to elicit physical reactions or memories or whatnot. And many people have experienced the taste of maybe chocolate ice cream or the taste of candy or childhood memories. And it's really nothing more, and it's real. It's real. If they're experiencing it, it's nothing more than the triggering of those little electrodes in your brain. That's conjuring up those memories, and they're very real. So it's the same technology, except that of course they're not going into opening up your skull, but they're using other technology to do that.
That's right.
So that's exactly what's happening. And by the way, I did see the Truman Show last night again. Oh my God! You know what? It every time I see it, it means something more. It's more profound, and
I have not seen it still.
What? Okay, that's it. It's it. I'm correcting that today. Today, I'm correcting that, and I strongly invite all the listeners that have not experienced the Truman Show, and even if you have, to in the light of all the new information that's coming in with respect to peeling away all the veils and the lies of this matrix. That's so much information is coming in now, because that's not only my mission and yours, Serena, but it's many people's mission as well now. That with all this information, now take that movie and watch it again. Okay? Because it'll blow you away.
Yeah, even the Matrix trilogy, the same.
Yeah.
It has much more meaning now than it did when it first came out.
Well, I mean, there's a scene in there, and I don't want to give the story away, but one of the first clues that this poor guy has as he's in that Matrix, okay, is that he's in his going about his day, and all of a sudden a lamp falls from the sky. Okay, it falls from the sky like it's a satellite, and he's going, "What the heck is this? What is this?" And it's very similar to the experiences that I have when I'm outside and I open up the door to my house, and I'm feeling like I'm in a stage. Very similar. It's almost like I feel that the lighting is off, that something is not right. It's I'm in a box. I'm being watched. It's not a paranoid feeling. It's a true feeling of something being synthetic.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It's synthetic. It's not genuine, and it's being manipulated. That's what I'm trying to express to you all as to what I'm experiencing, because I'm very observant, and I pick up on stuff like that. And so when it feels sterile, my environment feels sterile, there's something missing, it's void of true life, of divine spark. That's what I feel. And so when I'm watching the Truman Show again, I'm going, now I get it. I get it, and it's so in your face in that movie that, you know what, people who see it now will like, oh my God, it'll blow your mind open.
Now, okay, so I remember seeing the guy who plays one of the controllers. Who is he? Who do they say they are in the movie?
Well, he's the actual director, creator of the whole production. Okay, it's a production, it's the whole production. And what is it that you and I say all the time? That's a production. We're on a stage. We call it, we call it the Matrix, but it's an experiment. It's all, it's orchestrated. It's written. It's like a script. And it's
extremely
detailed script to the T, to the last amoeba, to the last circumstance and event and everything is to the T. And when you see this movie, you're gonna go, oh my God, it's the microcosm of the macrocosm type of thing. Okay, that's what that is.
But this director, is he considered the Archon or what?
The demiurge, if you want to call it that. When you see it, you'll understand what I'm saying. When you, at the very end, you'll understand that what this whole thing is and how the way.
I do understand it. I just want to know what they call these people or what they call themselves.
They don't call themselves like that. We understand it like that. In the movie,
they don't call themselves anything?
No, they're directors. It's all a production,
just
a show. Yeah, it's a show.
So it could be like the Masons called their god the great architect.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that.
Pretty much. I mean, for the sake of the script, and for the for what the whole plot is, the particular character that is in control of everything is the director / creator / producer, whatever his artistic title is, as if you can think of a Hollywood production.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, it's not even a metaphor. It's like literal.
Yep. Yeah, and that's you'll definitely see that, and it's just takes you to a much different level, in your understanding. Absolutely.
Yeah, because now it's in front of you, so you see how it's done. Because a lot of people can't imagine something if they can't see it.
Right. I totally got that. So I wanted to ask you, because we were talking a little bit about that, I guess the mind and all that stuff, and I just wanted to get a little bit of a flavor. Not that I just want to bring it up so that we can discuss it a little bit. Okay. The reptilian mind, right? Because right, I think we should bring it up. I think it's time. And I know why you laugh, but we have a lot of people that and you're still laughing. I mean, this is hilarious. You're not going to be able to answer the question. No. There's a lot of people that we know and that other people know that are, of course, listening on the show, and that. It's how do I explain this? What? Okay. Okay. What's a reptilian mind? What does that look like? What is that? And so in other words, not that I want you to define scientifically, because we're not scientists, right? We just remember we're going by our observations. Because we go into observation, we go into introspection, and then we go into direct connection to source to get our answers. We're not getting it from channeled material. We're not getting it from others' interpretations. Even though we'll hear, expert so-and-so and expert so-and-so, and we'll read expert so-and-so's book, and we'll see a YouTube video on so-and-so. A lot of them have their own truths, right, and their own opinions and their own statistics and research and whatnot. But, I personally take it all in and, again, with no expectations of anything other than taking it in and see what resonates with my knowing, okay, based on everything that I have not only experienced in life, based on my observations of life, and based on my direct connection to source. So based on our observations, what is a person with a reptilian mind? What does that look like?
Okay, this is going to be fun. First, let me add a little more clarification on observation.
Okay.
What we term simple observation is a very humble, descriptive, and I like that. However, observation is extremely powerful. I consider it as powerful as scientific evidence. Okay? It is as powerful as any very concrete and valid knowledge-based system that you can imagine. It's a humble word, but its viability is as concrete as any science. So, observation for me is very powerful. If I have observed it and I have noted it and researched it and tabbed it, it's fact. So observation for me is very powerful. It's not just a flippant term that I use, to describe perception or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, what I have learned from the reptilian mind, first I want to say that the reptilian brain is a literal part of our brain. Mm-hmm. That is literally what it is called, is the reptilian mind, the reptilian part of the brain. And the big question remains, why call it that?
Right.
Right? Now, they can dismiss the explanation by saying, well, it's just based on fight or flight, on instinct, survival instincts, and it's very cold-blooded, it's very calculating, and it moves on adrenaline, and it's just based on survival and self-preservation, period, end of story. And, the closest analogy we have to that is the reptile.
Sure.
Well, I would not just limit it to the little creature that we see running around all over Florida.
or the Geico commercial.
Or the Geico commercial, the Kilo Geico. Because I have actually seen some lizards that are far more playful than reptilians of the human order. Okay? But there is a bigger reason why they refer to the reptilian brain as reptile, right? So as I said, it's based on instincts. It runs on adrenaline. It's completely service to self. It's self-survival. It's about self-protection, survival, and it learns through instinct and manipulation how to get what it wants, and it's very clever at doing that. And if you are of a reptilian mind, which has been in existence for hundreds of thousands, if not millions or billions of years,
way before us,
the reptilian mind, yes, which we have, then you have that much more experience and practice to hone your skills of survival and manipulation and coercion for self-preservation and self-service, to please yourself. Mm-hmm. And you have all of this time to do that, then you're pretty damn good at it. I have to say.
Yeah.
Some people are really good at it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They're intellectuals. Mm-hmm. They pride themselves on being extreme intellectuals. They're very well learned, and they have an ability to do what I call is masturbate language. Okay.
Are you coining that word too?
I am coining that word again.
Okay.
Why not? I did. So that's what they do. Oh my God, they know how to stroke it and work it so that the words that are put together, they sound so amazing. But if you take apart the sentence and you realize there wasn't much that was said there that makes sense or is in context to what the point of the conversation is or something, they just really have this amazing ability to say. They literally masturbate language to turn you on and make you think that they said something when they didn't.
Right.
And it's all about getting the focus to them. They're looking for the attention. They're looking for recognition. They're looking for that limelight, that juice that tells them that they mean something, that they are something in society. So the only way that they can be something in society is if they have a whole bunch of people's attention. This is what determines whether they are something in society or not. And if all of their coercions and manipulations don't work to get them that attention, or this recognition is a big word, then they will resort to violence, and that's where your psychopaths come in. Well, they didn't pay attention to me when I did this, they didn't pay attention when I said this, they didn't pay attention when I whatever. Well, now I'm going to get attention in another way, and they will do whatever they have to, and there's no remorse. It just whatever gets them their bottom line, their goal. That's what they are. That's what they're after. There's no such thing as remorse. That's another reptilian trait, also.
Yeah.
And it's a psychopathic trait. And you, if you take that out into society and look at what groups in society possess these abilities, you will see, obviously, that your politicians have these abilities, and your senators and your governors and all of these people who have to have very public speaking platforms, and they glow when they get up there because this is what they want. They're in the limelight. They have recognition. Somebody's listening to them. And all of your preachers and all of your church people and all those guys in the Vatican, they're all psychopaths, right? Obviously. So this is the reptilian brain, and this is when you're functioning in the reptilian way. Is this ability to masturbate language and to get attention this way and to get recognition this way. And if that doesn't work, then you resort to other violence
or other means,
more aggressive means.
So what's the purpose of that? Is it because there's an agenda underneath all that?
Of what? Of this?
You're talking about people that have the ability to write or communicate in a way that perhaps there's a lot of embellishment of words, whether it's written or spoken, and that nothing is really being said because they want maybe the limelight on them, as if they really know what they're saying.
Something that you can make very clear by making a very simple point or a simple analogy, but they will write a whole freaking page about this, and they have gone all over the cosmos with the languaging, and it sounds like they said something important, but they didn't.
Okay, so then I'm asking, what do you feel is the point? Is there
recognition?
Recognition only?
Yes, it's a thing. It's the reptilian thing. They need recognition. They have to have attention. They cannot be invisible.
And it's because it's a psychological need, or is there an agenda behind it? They're trying to push an agenda, so the recognition is necessary.
I think it could be either one. Most of the time, there is an agenda, of course, because you have your politicians that have a complete long-term goal for achieving certain things that for which all of the fancy talk is just the beginning, right? That's just the titillation. That's just the foreplay to achieve their orgasmic goal at the end, which is control over, you name it, a group of people, the whole world, a corporation, whatever it is, But most of the time, yes, it is an agenda to achieve a certain goal for this recognition or control, or having this position of status over a group of people.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's just also less often, I think, is just a need for recognition without an agenda. They haven't gotten that far, but they still have this drive to be recognized, now, whether they have something to say or not.
Is this always a bad thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
I think most of the time it is, because when you have to use coercion and manipulation, and you have to be cunning and clever with your words to convince people, this is to me a negative thing. I think if you're going to say something to people that you are trying to help them with, it should be done through the virtue of integrity, right? You're really trying to help them achieve a liberation from all control, not not to get them under control, but to liberate them from control. So you're giving them information to liberate them when you're operating from integrity, right?
Gotcha.
And you don't need them to be dependent on you. You don't want them to be dependent on you.
Exactly.
See, that person who wants them dependent on them, that's the psychopath who has to learn all of these skills which they master, right? Because they have to have this continued control over people who don't know that this is what is taking place, right? So you either teach them to fish for a day, which is what the psychopath does, in which case you know that they're going to come back to you the next day because they need another fish for that day.
Yeah.
And the next day and the next day. So you only get them a fish for the day, but you will never teach them how to fish, because then once you teach them how to fish, they're fishing on their own, they're independent.
Correct.
From you. Completely independent from you. They don't need you. And so you know who this person is if they're giving you the way to teach to teach you to fish on your own, so you can get your necessities all on your own independently, or if they are teaching you to be dependent.
Well, are they teaching you to be sovereign or not?
The same thing, yes.
That's exactly it. And it could be anyone. I mean, it could be a governor, a politician, it could be a spiritual teacher. You know, especially the spiritual teachers that have you coming back because they give you all the little gems a little bit at a time. But, at no point is like, you could do this on your own, you can connect directly, you don't need me. Training wheels off, Either connect directly, but this goes in stages too, because some people don't know how. And then again, remember, a lot of people don't have that connection inside. And I know there are people who don't want to hear that or who disagree. Again, I don't care about people's opinions. I don't care. I only care about the facts. And the facts are that there are people walking around that do not have soul or God inside. They just don't. So there's a lot of those walking around. But yes, for a person to be independent and sovereign is the desire, I feel, of the true source, of true God, for everyone to become as God eventually on their own, independent and sovereign unto themselves. Yep, I agree.
No controlling, no one controlling, no dependency on anything or anyone, right? But those psychopaths, they want control, and they will be very clever in gaining this by making themselves appear as this wiser person, and they are wiser in their cunning abilities, but they're not wiser spiritually at all.
Right.
There's a complete difference.
Right. Yeah. And it all comes on the intention, I guess.
It's the intention.
Yep.
They need an audience. They need someone to have, giving them recognition. They have needs, right? Constantly, they need something from you. They need something. Attention, recognition, time, energy, blood, you name it, they need something from you. But the one who is trying to teach you how to fish is teaching you how to be independent and sovereign on your own, and that is a completely different person from the reptilian.
Interesting. So, since we have several minutes left, just wanted it to come full circle with what we started, with what we started talking about, the spiritual miasm. How does one correct that?
You have to be brave. You have to have courage to say, okay, well, first of all, you have to be willing, right? If you want the truth, you're willing to do something different, right? And so doing something different means you have to drop something that is obviously getting in the way. And what those things are usually are beliefs in finding out what the truth is. You really have to want the truth, no matter what it is, no matter what it looks like. If you just want the truth, then that person is willing to drop their beliefs, empty out that basket, empty out their minds of everything they held dearly to be true, everything they wanted to be true, everything they said it just has to be true because I'm going to make it true. If I believe it hard enough, I'm going to make it be true. And after 25 years or whatever, it's not working, then, you have to do something different. So you have to be willing to drop the beliefs, make make an empty space, become the empty cup, and then let that cup be filled by the integrity of the divine spirit and truth. Truth will fill that cup itself. We can't go to the spiritual supermarket and pick and choose all of those beautifully packaged, colorful things on the shelf to suit our spiritual beliefs. You know, we can do that. They're all over the place. You can go to the spiritual supermarket and choose anything that you want to believe that will suit what you want.
Sure.
And make you happy. And you can sleep at night. Or you can empty your cup and let the divine truth come in and fill it.
Yep.
It takes courage.
It does. It does. And that deep desire to want to go there, huh?
A desire that says, I'm willing to see the truth regardless of what it is.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Without filters, without getting in the way. You know, but just an authentic, raw desire. You know, okay, what is it?
Yeah.
Right.
And then this way you feel would transcend any spiritual defects that we might have been carrying
the way
time.
To get past those miasms or those spiritual miasms or those physical ones is to say, first of all, okay, this is not mine. This is my parents. This is their parents. This happened thousands of years ago, and I'm experiencing that with my fingers, by the way, right now.
Interesting.
My mom had an accident happen with her finger, the right ring finger in her right hand. And all of a sudden, I had a problem with that finger. It wouldn't straighten out. I'm like, where did this come from? I just woke up one day, it was there. And it was hers. And she had never healed that. And
wow.
The same thing is happening with other things. So everything that happens, I don't take it seriously. I'm completely detached.
Yep.
And I say, okay, I'm gonna heal this. I'm gonna do everything I have to clean, detoxify, take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna take it seriously. It's not mine, it's theirs. And I'm just going to love it and take care of it and heal it as if it were a child. And it goes away.
Yeah.
And it goes away. And the same thing with the spiritual miasms and the beliefs, the same thing. You have to see it for what it is and say, this is not mine. This is inherited. This is a program, because all genetics is programs. That's all that is. And all programs can be rewritten. And the same thing for beliefs. And so you just say, okay, I'm going to drop that program and I'm going to go for the truth of integrity, something outside of the matrix. And man, that takes courage. Outside of the matrix, oh yeah, that takes courage.
Yep, sure does. Sure does. All right, well, that's today's show. We're pretty much winding down to the last minutes here. Just wanted to address all the audience. I'm hoping that you've gotten something important from today's show. We've spoken about a couple of things that maybe you've already heard, maybe have heard it in a different, put in a different manner. But, you know, sit with what we've just expressed and see if it resonates in your being as a knowing. And also, you know, by all means, please, if you've been on the spiritual path for a while now, I'm hoping that you can all do your due diligence with respect to connecting directly to Source, as opposed to having to be dependent on teachers and books and things like that for your information. We're at the time right now where it's crunch time, and we're in an era of enlightenment. There is no need to impose, you know, your belief systems on others, or have others impose them on you. But, you know, try to connect directly to Source to see if it resonates with the knowing that you have, and all of us bring in that knowing, because we're all sparks of the divine, and therefore all those molecules and divine blueprint is already in you. All you have to do is ignite it by just recognizing the truth when you see it. And with that said, this is Ari Kopel and my co-host and guest, because you were the guest today, Serena. And, you know, basically every Thursday it's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next week. Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
You've been listening to Shattering the Matrix with your host, Ari Kopel and Serena. Please visit our website, 2012emergence.com. That's 2012emergence.com. Find us on Twitter at Matrix Shattered and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Shattering the Matrix. Listen to archived shows at blogtalkradio.com/Shattering the Matrix. And join us next time for the birth of the new golden era on Shattering the Matrix.